Saints Talk listeners, the official podcast, official podcast of NewOrleans.Football, the only one, no competition. I'm your host, Kevin Washington. As always, I'm here with my guy, Nick Underhill. Make sure you guys follow Nick on Twitter at Nick_Underhill. Make sure you guys go to NewOrleans.Football. Check out the site. See what Nick is writing there. A lot of content. Once you go there, the next thing you need to do is click the subscribe button. Or you can just go straight to it, NewOrleans.Football/subscribe. Link, as always, in the show notes. Also, if you guys want to help out, 5-star ratings on iTunes help out a lot. Go to youtube.com, look for Nick Underhill, subscribe to the channel, click the like button on the current video, all the back videos, and click the notification bell button. Just help out, man. Any type of support, telling a friend to tell a friend, YouTube, ratings, whatever, man. We appreciate it. Retweeting the articles, liking the tweets. We appreciate all the support. You guys make this thing happen. Couldn't do it without you guys. We like the support. We like being in live chats with you guys. Live streaming this pod now is totally different dynamic there. So we just want to, say we appreciate everything you guys do. And just continue to support us. We'll continue to make this thing go. Nick, what's up, man?
Yeah, I guess, first of all, it's December. So if you're looking to treat yourself to a Christmas gift, go on there, get a subscription. Treat me to a gift. That's a gift to me. It's a gift to you. It's two birds for $9. Can't get that deal anywhere else. The other thing too, I need your help before we get into it. Like, I don't want to get too off the beaten path here, but there's been an Underhill family debate the last couple of days. Where do you stand on eggnog?
Man, that's a good question. Is there alcohol in it?
see, that's the thing. I didn't know there was like New Orleans style like eggnog. So Sue got some eggnog from New Orleans daiquiri or whatever, and she was like super into it. I've never been a big eggnog person, so like it kind of like divided the house a little bit. But I mean, I guess it's lit. I guess that eggnog, she said it's real good, but.
Let me tell you what
I don't know, man.
You get the eggnog with the alcohol in there, okay? Make sure you're on the empty stomach. Drink it really fast, and the rest will taste amazing. That's all you got to do.
That's the key? That's the key to victory?
That's the key to victory. You know what? It's funny. I remember drinking it as a kid a lot. Then, I moved to Cali for a while, and I guess eggnog wasn't popping down there. So I got to get some eggnog updates. But I remember as a kid it being good. And I remember maybe like a few years ago having it with some not water in there. And, you can do worse, man. So I'm team eggnog as long as it's done right. I'll put it at that. So
all right.
As a kid, anything with sugar in there, right, is good. So it was definitely sweet. So I can be on team eggnog.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just, hey man, listen. That's probably the most important thing we're going to talk about this whole pod. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. All right. So let's get into this. Topic number 1. Right. We can review the game. We're going to talk about the game. And we're going to talk about individual players. We're going to talk about who played well. We're going to talk about who can play better. We're going to talk about Sean Payton and how some podcasts may have started a little narrative about him being coach of the year, but we can get into that. But we're going to start we're going to take a step back. And I remember at the beginning of the year, and then maybe a couple of weeks into the season, we start speaking about the Saints and their Super Bowl prospects and kind of where we felt at the moment. And let's just get an update there. I'm gonna let you start this one off because you got the takes that the people want to hear. So run with it, man. Where do you see this team is it the Super Bowl-ometer or is it Super Bowl-o-meter? Whatever one we're going with, where do you see them there?
I think that they're probably. I think you got to consider them the favorite, right? I mean, I don't want to get like too down on Kansas City at the moment, but
okay,
the last few games that I've watched them, I don't see
it's explosive offense. Yeah,
and I mean, I don't think their defense is as good as the Saints. It just feels like New Orleans is a better team all the way around. And the craziest thing about the Saints right now is they're scoring 30 points a game. And I think they can be a lot better on on offense. I don't think that there's a lot of players having consistent greatness. I think they're a super deep team with guys stepping up here and there. Emmanuel Sanders had signs of like looking like he was about to break out and start doing it. And then Breeze went down, and now he's kind of out there doing cardio.
He had COVID, and it was like, a couple of things happened with him.
He's just out there running routes right now. Like, he ain't even getting the ball. And like, I think that's more, I think the offense kind of changed on him. I don't think he changed on the offense. I assume he'll get going again. But look, outside of Alvin, and then even Alvin the last couple of games, like since, Breeze went down, I think his productions went down. He's still playing great. He had a great game this last game. But, I just don't think overall that there's anyone, like there's nobody that if the Saints didn't have a Pro Bowler on offense, I don't think that you could be super upset, because there just isn't.
Who would make it other than maybe Teron?
Maybe Alvin, but I mean, you got
Alvin.
I mean, he should, but like you got like, I don't even know how they do the voting anymore, but you got Dalvin Cook there. There's a couple guys. I mean, I don't know, man.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Like, he should 100% be in, but like if somebody, I just don't think that there's that overwhelming, consistent every single week guy. He's the only one, and there's just other dudes at that position that are really good. But so he should be in. But outside of him, like if nobody else got in, like if Mike Thomas didn't get in this year, just because of the way he sees them win, I don't think you could be like too mad. There's just nobody there. It's Teron, Alvin, and I don't know.
Yeah,
that's weird for this team. It's weird for this team.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think with the offense, you feel like there's a lot of meat left on the bone. I will say that, right? You every game that you watch, like I'll put it like this: there's usually a game every season where the offense just destroys the team, and they're hitting on all cylinders. The run game is going, the pass game is going. They just look like they're playing on a different level. And I think the Bucks game was probably the closest example to that. But other than that game, you just really haven't felt like the offense is 100% hit its stride yet. But it's tricky. They're good enough. Like, I feel like if they got into a game where they had to put up a ton of points, I don't think they would have a problem doing that for the most part. But maybe is it that it hasn't been required of them, or maybe they still haven't hit that stride yet. I tend to think it's somewhere in between. I know, for years, Drew Brees always says, hey, man, there's more we could do. And I feel like it's even more so the case, with how they're playing now, because they're a good offense, but I think they're probably ranked. I don't know. I was just looking at the rankings. They're kind of like in the middle of the NFL, right? Kind of, which is weird for this offense, but Drew's not playing, and even with him, there was a slow start. But yeah, I'm with you. I think the offense. I think there's a gear that this team can still reach on one side of the ball. I think defensively, stay where you are. I mean, it's hard to get better, but if you just stay where you are, you're good. But I do think offensively, there's room for growth.
I think there's room for growth on defense too. I mean, the way they've been playing, that they've gotten better and they've tightened up and everything. And then in this last game, they started doing more stuff with their coverages after simplifying it coming out of the bye. Like early in the season, they were playing, some too high safety. They've eliminated too high safety completely. Like, you don't see any cover two defenses really at all. There's like 2 snaps per game, zone, cover 2 zone. They play
they play 2-man, right? There's a lot of 2-man, right?
Some 2-man. Yeah. I mean, it's more cover 4. There's some 2-man. They played a little more 2-man in this game. It was a lot of cover 1. They played some cover set, but the point is, without getting too deep into the jargon, like they're mixing up their coverages more than they were early in the season. And they went away from that. Now they're getting back to it. And you're seeing them perform at the level that they should be, performing at. And if they can be multiple, Dennis Allen can hide in disguise and do all the stuff that he's known for doing. So you're getting the execution with the window dressing, with the disguise. And I think they can become even better, which is crazy. Like, this is a team that I think we're talking about being the best team in the league. And I think that's kind of indisputable at this point. You can't even, like, I don't think Pittsburgh ever was, but everybody was making it to Pittsburgh. They're undefeated, so whatever.
I never thought that Pittsburgh was the number 1 team in the NFL. I don't even think you should put them up there, even if they have just look at what you see on the field. But anyway, that's another discussion. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of those things where it's hard to argue with when a team is undefeated. It's just like, okay, whatever. So, like, now that they've lost a game, we can stop pretending that. Yeah. And I think that it's pretty clear that this is the team, and there's meat on the bone, like you said. It's crazy. You just watch them and it's like, look, they played, I think, 2 games with Drew and Mike on the field at the same time.
Has it really been only 2?
I believe so. I think so.
Wow. Yeah.
Maybe 3. I think it's 2.
Yeah, because the first game, does that count? I guess maybe.
Yeah, it was the first game.
Wow. Yeah, that's man. I just thinking about it like that. So yeah, I mean, clearly, and Mike, I think Mike, to be honest with you, Mike is probably just hitting his stride. Maybe the last game, or this last game probably was his best game, but last couple of games. But he's just, I think he's probably getting into the flow of the season also. So I'm totally with you on the offense. I do think the defense can get better because the team is never like done getting better. But if the defense just chose not to get better none for the rest of the season, they would still be they're playing ridiculous right now, right? I mean, they're basically playing out of their minds, and you can win a Super Bowl with the level of defense that those guys are playing. But I do think there's some things on that side of the ball. As good as the pass rush has been, I will say that there's times where I feel like it runs hot and cold. I feel like this is maybe one of those games where they missed Davenport a little bit, even though some guys got some pressure. I think Cam had 6 pressures. Trey Hendrickson had 5. Rankins had 5. On you might have had like 4. You had some from I think some linebacker, maybe the linebackers had a few pressures, but I didn't feel like the pressure was consistently getting there most of the game like I've seen it, right? And like we're nitpicking like greatness at this point, right? At this point, we feel like they should be getting pressure like pretty much almost every down, which you can make a case that they should with the talent that they have. But that's one area I can think they can get better on defense. I think they can get healthy on defense, but I think most of it is on the offensive side of the ball. I think that specifically when I look at, it's weird, right? The offensive line it's a little weird, right? When you think around the NFL, people, maybe rightly so, consider the Saints to have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. And, with how they run the ball lately, I think it's been good. I think the tackles have been pretty good. I think Ramczyk only gave a couple of pressures this game. I don't think James Hurst gave up any pressures. He's been good. I don't think there's been much of a drop-off without Teron. And that's saying a lot because I think Teron is the best offensive lineman on this team. So, I think the interior O-line is something. I think that's a weakness. I think if you're a team, you're looking at the Saints and you're trying to figure out how can you attack those guys in the middle. Ruiz got benched, I guess. I don't know any other way to put it, for Easton. Easton had a pretty bad game. McCoy hasn't been as good as maybe people think. Pete has these hot and cold moments where he's, maybe I think he's a little bit of a waist bender. Sometimes he kind of leans forward and the guy beats him. He's probably more of an attacking style guard, and guys can kind of take advantage of that. But yeah, I just think most of it is on offense, and I think it has to do with Mike being gone for a while, Drew being gone for a while, Sanders taking some time to get going, Sanders being out on COVID, Teron being out, switching at guard. There's just a lot of things happening on offense that, they just haven't had a chance to really come together as a team. And I think it's going to take them maybe a few games, even after Drew gets back, to kind of hit their stride, because I don't think Drew's going to come in the first game and be, I don't know, maybe he comes in and throws for 4 touchdowns and 300 yards. But my guess is going to take him a little while to kind of get back into the scheme of things and get back going once he returns from his rib injury.
So what do you think about Taysom?
Oh man. Okay. I think I actually I'm gonna do something I rarely do, and I'm gonna pull my notes. I'm gonna read some of the notes, guys, because there's a few things I want to get at with him, high level, and then we can kind of get into them. I think one thing that stands out that you can see what they're doing is they're giving him some half-field reads, right? You see them rolling out, and you can see some of the route concepts, right? You can say, okay, the routes are going to be on this side of the field, or if you're rolling out, or if the route combination presents itself in a way where, they're going to be kind of isolated to one side, or if the second read, it's a read out. So I don't know how well he sees the field, right? And it's a lot that goes into that. He's only on his 3rd start. He's people are game planning him. That's one thing. I think his accuracy is better than I thought it would be. I was pleasantly surprised about where he was putting the football this game. I thought that for the most part, the ball was on spot. I thought some of his throws were a bit late. But there were some that were not. So I think that over time, as you do that more and more, I think that becomes, a good quality of his. I think he has a good arm, which is something. I think his arm is better than I thought it was too. So that's another thing I've been pleasantly surprised about.
He needs to learn how to dial off the arm. The arm's maybe too good sometimes.
So you took my next point because that he almost threw a pick because he got to put an arc on it sometimes because he threw that ball on the. I think in your article, guys. By the way, forgot to say it. NewOrleans.Football, 2 articles on the site already this week. One of the film study article is outstanding. It's so good. It's so good. Please go read it. We're going to reference some of the stuff in there, but most of the information is there. But he put that ball on the line that could have easily been picked off. So that's kind of like where I see him right now. I still don't know what I think about him, which is, I understand it is 3 games, but like I feel like I didn't know before he started playing at quarterback, and now that we've seen him play, gosh, with his 3 whole games, I still don't know, right? I still don't know. So I need to see more. We're only going to have 1 game left, and
if he starts against Philadelphia, they're going to kill Philadelphia, and we still aren't going to know enough about him. And I think that's part of the problem. I don't think we've seen enough moments with him where things aren't perfect, and the couple moments that we have seen when things aren't perfect, it hasn't been great for him, but it's not enough to form an opinion, and it doesn't necessarily tell us enough about him to really say anything.
Right.
I think if you wanted to break down his performances and look for reasons for negativity, you could easily find them. And you could find reasons to discredit him. And if you want to find reasons to see him as someone who could be a starter, there's plenty of reasons for that too. And I just don't know if we have a big enough picture. But I will say this: if the season ended today, and let's say Drew comes back against Philadelphia, which I don't know if he will or won't.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see. Drew's a psycho. He's going to try to come back. I think that, organizationally, that there's probably an argument to be made just to hold it back. Don't put him out there in the cold. Don't have him take hits in the cold. But if he wants to play and he's cleared, he's going to play. And we saw that last year. I mean, and he's going to do everything he can. So we'll see how that plays out. So just if this is the end of Taysom, if we were having this conversation, Drew retires, we're having this conversation, hey, Nick, where do you think Taysom stands? I would say that there's probably enough there that I think that they could probably, if they keep the whole entire team together, the whole entire team, and they have good injury luck next year, I think they could win 10 games.
I think if the defense is still good like it is, When you got to bring Trigger Trey back, though, right?
I do. I mean, I really do. I think they're good enough to win 10 games with him. I think they're good enough to win 10 games with a lot of people, though. And but then you get into the playoffs, and this is going back to my first point. You get into the playoffs, and that's when everything gets taken away. Everything gets taken away, and at some point in the playoffs, it comes down to, is your quarterback good enough to make things happen when there's nothing there? I don't know the answer to that with him yet, and I don't know how many guys are there that are actually that good. That's the other thing. I mean, there's probably there's only a handful of truly great quarterbacks, and then there's a bunch of other guys, and you got your quarterbacks that are good enough to get you to the playoffs and maybe win a game and then lose. Maybe if everything is perfect, your team is so good, you can get by with one of those guys and steal a title. But it's just it's hard, and I just don't know. I don't know enough about him. The stuff with him carrying the ball, I think is concerning. Again, if we're going back to the thing of if you want to look for negativity, if you want to look for positivity is that, he's a weapon when he runs, and he can bust off a 40-yard run. And if you're playing man and everybody's got their backs to him, he can run down the field. And I think he showed in this Falcons game when they went to too high on third downs that he sees zone well enough that he can pick it apart, and that Sean Payton's a great coach and he's going to scheme guys open and Taysom's going to be able to hit them. Like, you can take advantage of that. The problem is that if Latavius Murray fumbled at the same rate as him, I don't know that you'd be having the same level of leniency. So, I mean,
come on. I mean, Taysom is fumbling like 10% of his snaps. Like, it's a ridiculous number. Like, it's such a high number that, like, it's a deal breaker. Like, it's a deal
I don't know
breaker.
I don't know if it's a deal breaker. The question is it a fatal flaw? Can he fix it or not? And the thing is, like, he didn't fumble before and he's fumbling now, which is one of the more mystifying things about it. I think there's a few of them where you can kind of like, I broke them all down. There's a few of them, I'm not looking at the fumbles on the read options, right? I think you can throw those out. That's like he's reading it wrong. There's, somebody's grabbing the ball, he's pulling it back. Like there's some type of miscommunication. That's not the fatal flaw stuff. That's not the why can't this guy protect the football? That's okay, mentally you got to do something different. And you can fix that. You can clean that up. I'm not looking at the one against Detroit where there's the snap and Jeff Nowak from the Times-Picayune, I think he broke it down, and like it's if you super freeze frame it and you Zapruder this thing, like you might see a ball hit somebody's foot. I'm not looking at that. Like that's just it's either the ball hit somebody's foot or he wasn't paying enough attention on the stop and it hit him in the hands. And he didn't. I'm not looking at the ones I'm looking at are San Francisco. And when he's getting tackled, going to the ground, one hand on the ball, flails it out a little bit. A guy on the ground punches it out. Yeah. AJ Terrell twice. First time he gets a fumble. Second time he looked like a guy that knew what to do. And that's the stuff. Like you gotta tighten it up. You gotta hold it tighter. You gotta get two hands on it. I don't know what the problem is, but it's got to get fixed because his greatest strength is becoming something where if I'm a DC, do I want to put him in situations to run the ball? Like, because if he's going to turn it over, like it's a tough situation. It's hard to trust.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna stand beside my take right now. It's a deal breaker. Now he can change, he can fix it, and they can get better. But yeah, I think it's a deal. That second fumble was.
When you say deal breaker, though, I feel like you're saying he can't fix it.
No. I'm saying if it's a deal breaker if the frequency of his fumbling doesn't change. I think it's sure. I think it's an absolute deal breaker. I'm not making any definitive statements on him right now because I don't think neither one of us is doing that because I don't think we have enough information. But
I'm not comfortable. Yeah, I'm not
comfortable saying that. But I'm saying that there's a pattern here, and this pattern has been going on for about 6 games. Okay. Any other player on the roster would be benched. Okay. He'd be benched, right? I don't care. Even if Kamara fumbled that much, as good as Kamara is, you just wouldn't give him the ball, at least in certain situations. I mean, that second fumble was brutal, right? I know some people say the first one is worse. I think both of them are bad. The first one, you got to be smart as a quarterback, right? And I've seen quarterbacks try to make things happen, and you just got to know the situation. Kick the field goal, make it an 8-point game. At worst, it's overtime. At worst, right? But that fumble in that situation when you could have got rid of the ball, that's a mental fumble to me, right? That's a quarterback fumble. The second one is what concerns me because the guy just attacked the ball and it came out. Like and that's a situation where hey, look, we can't fumble here, right? We're trying to run out the clock. Right. Ideally, we get a first down with you, but the key thing is protecting the ball. The second thing is getting a first down. And he did the number one thing that you can't do in that situation. I mean, imagine if he was running. I don't know if that run was to the field side or to the boundary, but if there's a little bit more grass, Saints are, I don't know. They got 3 losses instead of 2. So yeah, I just think he got to fix that. You can't play. You can't be the person that touches the football every single down and put it on the turf that much. It's just a deal. I keep saying deal breaker, but I mean it's something that has to be fixed, or otherwise he's not viable as a quarterback. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make.
I do want to say, and I think it's important to put it in here, that he was 11 minutes away from probably being wildly hyped. He was 11 minutes away from being wildly hyped. He was, I think it was probably his best game as a thrower of the ball.
Oh gosh. His accuracy was so good this game. Yeah.
There weren't qualifiers in this one. In the first game, there were qualifiers. In the second game, there was, it just, I guess the second game, when we talk about him, we're supposed to act like it just didn't happen. I guess that's kind of what everybody's doing. Whatever it is,
but yeah, go ahead.
It was a super weird game. I don't know how to adjust for it. I don't know what to do with it. I'm moving by it. I don't know. Whatever. Falcons game to Falcons game. We'll just compare those two. The throwing in the first game was okay. There was stuff. There was, again, qualifiers. Oh, he got hit when he threw a ball. Oh, like there's a penalty, this and that, whatever. This one, he just hit his spots. And I think if you break down the film, there's a lot of stuff that I think you also give co-credit to Peyton, because I think this was probably one of his better scheme games in a while. There were guys like just getting open, but he's throwing the ball. He's executing the offense. It looked good. He looked sharp. The throw to Jared Cook on the touchdown was really good. He fit it into a window. A staple Saints concept down there, but he recognized that he saw the coverage. He got the ball out quickly and took advantage of the opening that Jared Cook had. All really good stuff. So, I mean, I think on that front, if he hadn't thrown this fumble, hadn't tried to throw and fumbled on the play with 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter,
oh yeah,
I think the narrative's a lot different. I think it is.
I'm sorry that you missed your moment there, man. I know you're heartbroken. I know Alvin, you was waiting for the Alvin pass, and
yeah,
you gotta wait a little longer, man. You guys don't know, man. My guy was hurt. My guy was hurt. I was like, it was a virtual hug going. So, all right. So let me ask you this, right? So we're on the Taysom topic, but we were talking about, if he gets to the playoffs, then things become tricky, right? And so I just went and looked through just some of the teams, right? And I'm gonna put you on the spot here, and it's probably impossible. It's gonna lead to some. It's an interesting exercise that'll probably lead to some conversation. But I'm looking through the teams, right? And I'm saying, okay, who's the quarterback for this team? And you look at them, and you and we're just talking this year. You put them against Taysom, the Giants, who they have at quarterback, maybe versus to the Saints. I'm Daniel Jones.
Are we?
It's like I'm just looking at.
I'm not even going to entertain a conversation about the Giants as a playoff team, man.
But the Giants are. I think they look defensively. They look really good lately. But I'm with you. You don't take them shit. But I'm just saying, like, who would they potentially face? And the Giants are a team that's going to get to the playoffs this year. They're leading the NFC East, right?
Sure.
So they could. I don't know. In some realm, they're number one seed. They play the last seed. Giants sneak a win. They almost beat Tampa, right? So that's a team that he may face. I mean, Washington may make it. I don't know who's coming out the East. The Rams, Seattle, 49ers. How do you feel about it? Right? Oh, go ahead.
Is Tampa going to win more games than the Patriots?
Tampa is 7-5, and the Patriots are
go ahead and see that one.
6-6.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen, if Bill finesses that, then game over.
I know, man.
He's the king of finesse. He's the king of finesse if he pulls that off. Wow. I'm just
half his team sat out. COVID hit. Half his team sat out. Like, they don't got. I don't think most people could name 4 players on their defense.
McCourty brothers, Jackson.
Well, that don't count, man. Take the twins out.
No. That's it. That's my 4.
Who'd you hit?
The McCourty brothers, the Jackson cornerback, and Gilmore.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Wait, is Jamie Collins still there? No, he's in Detroit.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah, that's Belichick. That's how he likes to play defense. Ain't nobody. You guys can all be replaced. But yeah, I was just going through the teams and saying, okay, like, how will Taysom perform against this team? And I'm looking like there are some teams that concern you. Like, if you play the Seahawks and Russ gets hot, the Packers are obviously a team that concerns you. Tampa Bay, you just never know. But for the most part, I don't know. In the NFC this year, you maybe feel like he could
light it up. He could light it up in a tough situation. He really could. I just don't know. I don't know. Well, I haven't seen him run a 2-minute drill. Can he do that? Can he run it the way Breeze does? What's that look like? Is the pace different? Yeah. I mean, all that stuff, but I've never seen him do it, so I have no idea. When Breeze is in that situation, I have confidence that he's going to get it done.
Oh, he's a 2-minute god.
There's just so much we don't know about him. But like, is he done enough to warrant a second look? Probably, yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think he's. I would say that he's probably a better quarterback than I thought he would be, and I just hadn't seen him. Right? At least you guys could see training camp practices and stuff, and you could see it instead of right. Like, I just hadn't seen him do it. I mean, he had some moments in the preseason, but I've been really pleasantly surprised about his ability to put the football where it needs to be. I think his accuracy, which Peyton talks about how important that trait is for a quarterback, he's impressed me there. And I just want to, I guess, say something positive about the guy. But yeah, I think that's something that I've been surprised about. I think that you can work on his it's the difference between anticipation and kind of playing within the structure of the play. I think it's with him is more of playing within the structure of the play than anticipation, but that's okay. Sean Payton is your coach; you can live with that.
I started to ding him a little bit for the anticipation, and then I kind of like dialed it back a little bit because I think it will get better as he gets more used to the guys he's playing with. You even saw it with Breeze earlier in the year, like with Breeze and Emmanuel Sanders, like and that's Drew Brees and Emmanuel Sanders, like they're having trouble. Right. With the anticipation getting on the same page. There was some stuff with Taysom where I felt like he was super late, but then you make up for it with the strong arm. So if it just gets a little bit better, he doesn't have to have God like Drew Brees anticipation. And I think that's part of the
he never will
here too, is that we can't really, it's not fair to grade him on the Drew Brees curve. And it's hard not to, because it's, well, Drew would have thrown it here. Like I catch myself doing it, and it's like, that ain't fair. Like you can't do that.
Because you look at, probably Kyler Murray or someone who's just less experienced. They're probably throwing the ball maybe, I don't know, around the same time. But I will say, like, remember the Mike Thomas play that I think we argued about? It was something that we agree with, which means that means we're like really in lockstep with each other, because that's what we do all the time. But, in that play, bad decision, whatever, we were saying the same thing. But this game, I feel like he made a throw similar to that. I don't know if it was to Cook on the curl route, and the ball got there a little earlier. And I was like, okay, well, he threw that pass to Thomas pretty late, and it ended up being, incompletion, potential interception. And this time he got the ball there, a little bit more on time, and it was a completion. Now, it wasn't perfect, but it was an improvement. So I do think that's the area where he could get better as a quarterback. But those things, it just comes with experience, right? And repetition with a certain receiver, knowing when he's going to be there, how he comes out of his drop, etc. So, but yeah, I don't know. I do think that, let's just transition.
I would have killed to see him run a 2-minute drill at the end of that game. Like it would have been.
I would rather.
It could have turned out bad. Not like I understand like the team success and everything. I don't think many people listening to this wanted to see that 2-minute drill, but academically, like just for the science project, like I wanted to see it just to see what would happen.
Yeah, I'll take it at the end of a half.
I think
the boot this
man. There's part of me that thinks he has this like crazy, but then he said he struggled with it. But I think he has a high level of confidence. So I don't think he would would crap his pants in that situation. I was trying to find a less crude term there, but I don't think he'd crap his pants in that situation, because he seems to have a good amount of confidence. And he came out that first game, I thought, and was thrown with a ton of confidence. The second game, he was like super in his head. This game, he looked really confident again.
I don't think confidence is an issue with him. I will say that.
The other thing I want to say, though, too, is that it is his third start, and I think that's important. And I think that everything does need to be kept in the context of that. But on the flip side of that, it isn't like if it were Jordan Love's third start. Like, he's been in the NFL for 4 years.
So like 4 years, he's 30.
Yeah, not even that, but like he's been hearing this stuff for 4 years. So like when they got to call a timeout because he's not getting in and out of the huddle, I have less patience with that with him than I would some other, if it was Garrett Grayson in his third NFL start. But look, I mean, there's also two conversations here too. Like, there's a conversation of like, does he deserve another chance? Like next year coming into it? Yeah, I think that he's shown enough to have the chance to compete for the job. The larger conversation is he shown enough to be the franchise quarterback? And no, like there's just not enough evidence. And it's not because he hasn't done what he's supposed to do or anything else. There just haven't been enough of these situations to actually be able to know. And I don't know how many guys you would be able to know after 3 games.
Yeah.
Like you didn't know Tom Brady was going to be Tom Brady after 3 games. Like you just don't know. There's just not enough. There's so much stuff that happens over a course of a season. Like look at like Jacoby Brissett, like he looked great at first and then didn't. And then there's other guys that don't look great at first and then end up being really good. And there's just not enough evidence. But I think that he is, if it's over, he's done enough that you go into next year allowing him to compete with whoever. I think if you can bolster that competition, maybe you do. If you can bring Jameis Winston back at the right price, you probably do. I don't know that he's seized it to the point where you close yourself off to all the other options, but
you can't handle.
Yeah, he's probably the guy you have to beat to get the job, though, and he's definitely done that.
So let me ask you the question that everyone wants to know: who has been a better Saints backup, Taysom Hill or Teddy Bridgewater?
This is a dangerous question.
I do not. I'm not answering this. By the way, you're the man with the clout and with the best opinions. I
think Teddy showed a better ability to manage a game, but I think that if you took the upside and you just look at it and you say, like, through their 3 starts with the Saints, like, I'm not talking about Teddy's Panthers career or anything like that. Through 3 games, if you cut it off at 3 games for both players and you eliminate all the negatives and only look at the upsides, I think that
look at Teddy's 5. Look at Teddy's 5. We got 5 with Teddy, 3 with Taysom. Just try to compare those apples to oranges.
I think that Taysom has higher highs.
So I think that
Taysom plays with more confidence than Teddy did.
I would probably say Taysom. I would probably say I think I would probably say Taysom. I think he can give you more. Like, I mean, listen, the fumbling is the problem, right? The fumbling for me is the issue because I can trust, and I said a better Saints backup, right? And I specifically said Saints. I didn't say go to another team.
Yeah,
I think,
absolutely. Yeah. I'm not willing to make a statement that in like 2025 right. We're going to look back and be like, oh man, yeah, Taysom got him. Like,
that was crazy. Yeah, so I'm trying to like.
Boy, that worked out for the Saints. Like, I'm not sure I'm willing to go that far with it yet. But yeah, through this window, I think that Taysom has a higher upside. But look, yeah, I think his downsides are greater too, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to protect myself to walk back this take if this turns out to be crazy. I just think that with Peyton as a quarterback, as a coach, I think he can protect Taysom enough to keep the passing game. I mean, he's shown it. Now, listen, maybe he plays against a Martindale. I mean, one of the DCs, like the DC from Baltimore, maybe plays against the Rams, who has a pretty good defense, or Giants are playing pretty good defense, and some DC gets the best of them. But I just think that I would put it on Peyton to get more out of Taysom than Teddy, just because he can run the ball, which gives you an element. Like that 43-yard play was a broken play. He just ran out, and so I think he gives you a little bit more explosiveness, offensively, just with his ability to run. I think he's, him and Teddy in passing. Taysom's accurate, man. I mean,
downfield too, and he's not afraid to throw it on.
Yeah, I gotta give him that pass to Mike. I mean, he put that ball out there where he gave his guy a chance, and the other guy didn't have a chance. The
third down.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little
late.
It could have been. It was late, but I'm talking about
that's one of those ones. That's one of the ones I'm talking about where like you're looking at it and you're like you wish you would have thrown it with more anticipation.
I'm talking about the ball location though. I totally agree with you about when he threw it, but just where he put the football.
Yeah, no doubt.
You got to be. Yeah,
it was a good throw. Yeah,
you got to feel good about that. Now, Taysom, I need you to throw that ball a tick faster. I'm with you.
Yeah, and I think he will.
Yeah, speed up your drop, get your feet back there, get into your drop quicker. Rob, the end zone pass to Cook. I mean, he threw that ball on time, right? So I think his ball location is fine, and that gives me hope about him as a quarterback. Because if you can be accurate, then I think there's some things that you can do in this league. So, man,
they beat all their ops, man.
You couldn't hold it back and use it. I knew that was coming.
And they beat the ops.
Hey, man, look, and I think we've beat the quarterback discussion into the ground. But I mean, Coach Peyton was on Sirius saying that
there's nothing. Hold on, there's nothing more important though. Like I can't pretend like the Falcons game matters and everything, and the Eagles game matters, but like this is the potential next 10 years. So it's hard not to obsess over every single detail. Like Peyton even said that after the game, like, like it's the left tackle. Like, no, man, like this is the quarterback. It matters. It's a huge deal. It's the future of the franchise, and it's happening right now. It's significant.
Well, listen, I'm gonna use your words, not against you, but in a conversation with you, I guess. You've said, man, I want to know what Sean can do with someone other than Drew. Yeah. And I think Sean has put that talk to rest. Like, I think Sean has basically, like, I think higher of Sean now after these last 2 years, in which I don't know why I needed to see it, but man, my opinion of Sean Payton as a football coach, and not just offensively. I'm not saying as an offensive mind because I think that's on point, but just all over, but even more so as an offensive mind, obviously, it is sky high, man. He's 8-0 over the last 2 years with backup quarterbacks. I don't care who he's playing. He's 8-0. Go ahead.
Before we move on to the next thing, I've stopped you like 8 times going on.
Go ahead.
I gotta say one thing. Like all the people that were like when Sean was going to play Taysom and they're like, Taysom isn't a quarterback. What are you doing? This guy's an idiot. Da 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 da. His ego's gonna make him force him to go in. And now the coach of the year discussions are coming up, and those same people are just not putting him in there. And it's just kind of like, well, Sean's supposed to be good.
It's crazy.
Wait a minute. Like this quarterback you didn't think he could win with is winning games, and now he doesn't get credit for it.
Good. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
His defense is good. Well, what?
He's the coach of the year. He's clearly.
Yeah, bro. Come on, man. Come on. Hot takes
like
exposed.
Stefanski, cool. That's great. Stefanski, but it shouldn't be like the worst thing about these awards is then you look back and it's like, Michael Jordan didn't win enough MVPs, LeBron didn't. The coach of the year, like John Harbaugh just got his first one last year. Like, come on, man. Sean Payton has one.
Drew Brees doesn't have an MVP. I mean, come on. We can go on about this stuff.
You go down the list of people that have one coach of the year award, and Payton has one. Like Bill Belichick has only three times over the last 20 years. He's been the best coach in the NFL. Come on,
popularity. Man. Yes, but they get enamored with these new coaches. Stefanski, he's new. They want to put him something. I mean, come on, man. Listen. There's not a coach. I said it maybe last week or the week before. There's not a coach in the NFL who I would, not even Belichick. There's no one who I'm taking over Sean Payton. I'm sorry. I just don't. That's just where I am right now. Maybe Sean starts to suck in a year or something. I don't know. But right now, when I'm seeing the way he coaches his entire team and the way that, because when you're a coach, you're a head coach, you got to be good at your specialty, right? What do you do good? Are you an offensive coach or a defensive coach? I don't want a defensive coach with a bad defense. I'm sorry. I can get someone else for that. But he mastered what his specialty was. And then he started to, the rest of the team kind of follow suit. And so, I mean, just in coach, how he manages his team every game, all aspects of it, man. I think he needs to be in that conversation. I mean, look at it. At the start of the year, they were struggling in the red zone, right? They 19 of their first 22 trips to the red zone, I think the team scored a touchdown. I think it was a touchdown. Now 3 of the last 11, right? He said, hey, man, we got to fix this red zone defense. Teams that played well in the playoffs last year, they all played good red zone defense. We got to get it fixed. He got it fixed. They're +7 in turnover differential, right? Tied for 4th in the league behind Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and Tennessee, tied with Cleveland, Indiana, and Miami, right? +7. And I think KC is +12. The other teams is like +9 or something like that. So, again, that's the stuff that gets you winning. They're number 1 in time of possession over the last 6 games. Number 2 in the NFL. These are all things that you do when you're coaching your entire team and you're coaching the things that get you to win. That's my case. Sean Payton is the coach of the year right now. So that's my long way of saying that.
All right, I'll let you hit this next topic now. You've been trying for 40 minutes, so I'll let you hit it.
Oh, well, I mean, do you want to? How do you? So let's do a Philly preview. I promise you I will not. I can see you smiling, but you hadn't started smiling yet. It's like the smile under your.
I'm smiling to hide the tears, man. If I don't smile, I'm gonna cry.
You were smiling, but you were not. I know you too well, man. All right, so they're gonna go against Jalen Hurts. So first question for you.
How much does that hurt?
Oh, it doesn't though. It doesn't. Man, he's broken, man. Don't make me talk about Wentz, man. Please. Please don't make me talk about Wentz. I will, though. I will.
No, please don't. Please don't. This is probably a gift to the podcast that he is not playing.
Yeah, no. I will derail this pod, but listen, you guys. I think he's playing like, I almost cursed. Yeah, he's playing like crap. But show me a quarterback anticipating pressure that's playing well in the history of the NFL, and I'll show you a video game or something like that. So yeah, he's playing like crap. I understand why they benched him. I get it. I'm not a fool. But who would you rather face if you're the Saints? Would you rather face Wentz, who is struggling but can obviously flash greatness, or would you rather go against this guy who can, run around, make some plays, but probably can't read?
Carson Wentz.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's playing terrible. I think he looks real bad. I do. I think he's shattered confidence. I don't think there's any confidence in the players in him. I don't think he has confidence in himself. He's turning the ball over. He's not hitting guys that aren't covered. Like, it's just bad. And the way he was playing, I think it's illogical for Philadelphia to put Hurts out there to make this his first start against a defense this good. Let the guy that's that's ruined. Let the guy that's
I would have benched him. I would have played Hurts. I would play Hurts.
See, but I would have waited a game, and I would have let the guy that's already beat up and broken down and needs fixed. I'd let him take this one last whooping and protect my guy from playing what's probably the best defense in the NFL, because you don't want him to start out and have a bad game and then have his confidence rattled. Like, your season's washed. But look, Peterson is making the move now because he's hoping to have some success and possibly buy himself another year.
Yeah.
So he's bailing on the other guy and going to the other guy to make a move. So I think if you're Peterson, you're probably hoping not to get fired mid-season, and you're just trying to get ahead of things at this point. And if you go out there and you lose 34-3 with Carson Wentz, like, you might not have a job on Monday to go to Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. So, you do what you got to do. It's kind of like firing back.
Lurie's not going to fire him in the middle of the season, though. I think he'll get to the end of this year for sure. I mean, for sure. My bad. This is NFL. This is 2020. let me walk that back. But yeah, I'll say I think I don't personally. I don't really have an opinion on which one they should face. I could think of pros and cons for each one of them. Hurts,
I don't think it matters.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm making. Like, I was trying to think, like, man, if you're the Saints, who would you rather face? And I'm thinking, well, if it's Wentz, listen, that dude confidence is gone. Every time he drops back, he's waiting for the pressure to get there. Game over. Like, it's you're anything else that he does at quarterback doesn't matter, because that's pretty much the end of the situation. If you don't think a pass play is going to get blocked, it's basically almost impossible for it to be successful. So, and he's playing that way. I think you make a good point about the confidence too. So, do you want to go against a quarterback who's not confident, who's perceiving pressure that isn't there, who's anticipating pressure, and when the Saints is probably on the way, which makes it worse? Or would you rather go against a guy who he's going to make that one read and he's going to take off and run, and you can spy him with, like, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or somebody, and Chauncey,
basically you got Quan, you got DeMario, you have plenty of guys to handle that issue.
So you could just play dime all game, right? And so it's just like I was thinking, I was like, I don't even think it matters. I don't think it matters who they play. The thing that I'm worried about this game is, Malik Jackson, Fletcher Cox, and Hargrave against Pete, McCoy, and whatever combination of Ruiz and Eason. That's the thing about this game. That's the only thing about this game I'm looking at and saying, the Eagles got a pretty dang good interior defensive line, and the Saints got a pretty leaky interior offensive line. Other than that, I'm like, the quarterback, it doesn't matter who they play against. All that other stuff is just, that's the matchup in this game to me.
If there's going to be a fatal flaw in this game, I think that's in this game, in this team, this season. I think the interior O-line will be it. Like, Bill Barnwell just wrote something about, like, how their red zone defense is their potential Achilles heel in the playoffs, and they don't want to play the Packers, which, I think I would probably disagree pretty strongly.
Expired take.
Yeah, I would disagree with that one pretty strongly. But that's just my opinion. Watching the team, I think their red zone defense has been pretty good. I don't think they've really been giving up touchdowns in that area of the field. But that's just my opinion based on what I've seen. But I would say, if I had to pick the one thing that I think that could backfire on them, in the playoffs, it would be the interior O-line. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they found that combination. Yeah. I don't think Nick Easton was great in this game. They tried to put him in there for Ruiz. Yeah. Similar struggles. Pete's big wins, big losses. You see that still, like you said, McCoy, and I don't know if that's because of the people next to him. I don't know if it's the accumulation of interior issues that have, kind of settled on him a little bit too, but there's more pressure being allowed there this year than last year. So I think if you were playing a team, it's the Vikings with the interior rush in the playoffs. It's the Rams with the interior rush. It's the Eagles. And what week is this? Week 14?
Oh gosh.
Week 14, yeah, it is.
Because it's 4 more, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I just think teams that can interior rush, that's where you get a little bit worried, and that's one thing too. Like the one thing about Taysom, and I'm not trying to go back to Taysom talk here, but the one thing about Taysom that's been most surprising to me is that, and look, again, I don't know if it's small samples or what, but the off script throws, the ability to extend plays, the ability to make throws on the run hasn't been what I assumed it would be with a player with his skill set. He has to be set. He has to be set. Everything has to be. And look, that might just be the way things have gone. And maybe it's just the way pressure's coming. Maybe he's seeing things like I don't know. Maybe he turns it around. But in the small sample, it hasn't hit the way I thought it would. So that would be something I would be interested to see, is how he handles that kind of rush with an offensive line letting some stuff through the whole game. Because I don't know if he even sees blitz. There's just a lot of stuff that we need to learn about him. We need to see how he identifies pressure better. There just hasn't been enough, and I would like to see it. The more he plays, the more we learn. So
yeah, I think I'll get one more game of it most likely, and then from there it's going to be speculation season, and it's going to be a potential quarterback battle, which that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. So, but yeah, that's all I got for the Eagles game. Can
you imagine Taysom versus Mahomes? Man,
come on, man, don't do that.
That would be the game where you find everything out, because you got to sling it.
Maybe. Just like you said that you want to see the end of the game 2-minute time drill, and I'd rather see it at halftime. I don't want to see Taysom against Mahomes in 2020. No, sir. Maybe next year, but I don't need to see. I don't need to see.
I think I might be wrong. I think if they win and Tampa loses, they clinch
the division.
Yeah, I think so.
Tampa 7-5, and so
yeah, I think if they win, because they would hold the head-to-head. Yeah, they would win. So if Tampa loses, they can only get to. Yeah, I think so.
It's 4 games left in the season.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Because the Saints, at worst, at that case, they can only be 11-5, and then Tampa is 4. Yeah, and then they hold the tiebreak. You're absolutely right. So yeah, I mean, do you think?
Deuce, go watch your own podcast, man. We don't need you commenting. Deuce is in here trying to take our audience.
Hey, man, he in here like scalping tickets and stuff like he's for the game.
Oh man! Oh, for the non-streamers, yeah, we stream it and we got people that comment. So we're Deuce Wyndham, who does an okay podcast, is in here commenting on our show.
Deuce has been on Saints Talk a couple of times for the people.
Deuce is fine.
We like Deuce around here. What's up, Deuce? Man, if you ask a good question, we might answer it. And don't ask nothing crazy neither. All right? Why do you transition from quarters coverage to something? Like quarter half. Like, we're not having that in here. Question: like, what was your thoughts just before we get into some questions, like listener questions? What was your thoughts on the pass rush this game?
I thought that it was.
I felt like they had a lot of pressure, but I didn't. I feel like I didn't see it.
Yeah, it wasn't as overwhelming as it has been. Yeah, I think that there's a factor of Marcus Davenport that when he's not out there, I think you feel it a little bit. Yeah. Also the first time that they played Atlanta too, I think that they schemed it a little bit better. The rush, I think it was a little bit more designed. They were doing more stuff, creating pressure. They played more with the 3-man front, and then they were bringing pressure players from all over the place. Yeah. And then this one they played a little bit more, regular. And those guys got there. The one thing that was encouraging to me, and I don't think he had like a great game or anything. I don't think it was like an announcement, but I thought Sheldon Rankins.
You're gonna say Shelley.
he was active enough. Like you saw him in there a little bit. So that was good just to see him come back off that layoff and have some stuff going on. But yeah, I mean, I think overall it wasn't, it just wasn't, it was okay. It was fine. It was fine.
I saw a snap where they actually doubled Rankins and singled up on Onyemata, which was interesting. That's an interesting decision by the interior line of the Falcons. But yeah, I'm with you. The pressure of this game, I expected it to be a little bit better. My take has always been when Davenport's on the field, they rush the pass. They rush the passer better. When he came back, the pass rush got resurrected. He missed his game. I felt like it just wasn't all the way there. So, all right, let's move on to some questions. Connor says, clinch playoffs with a win clinches the division. Or I guess that's a comment instead of a question.
Oh, we're at the question point of the podcast. Hey, throw your questions in there. We'll pick like 3 or 4, answer them, and wrap it up.
They clinched the playoffs this past week, obviously, and
yeah,
I think
it's at the point though. Like that stuff gets celebrated. This team's way too good to even be like, oh, they made it this many times or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's not a point. It's almost disrespectful to the talent to be like, oh, they've made it this many times to the playoffs. Like at this point, this team's so good, and this is a statement of respect that I'm about to make. That I don't think that you should talk about them through the prism of like made the playoffs, whatever. Like this team should win the Super Bowl, and if they don't, I think it's fair to say that the season.
If they get there and lose to the Chiefs, would you consider that a failed season?
No, I don't know if they get there. I think that's a good season. I wouldn't call it a failed season if they get there. They need to get there though. If they don't get there, and then Breeze retires, I think that there's historically you look back at this window and you feel like that there was a significant missed opportunity for various reasons. Some of them obviously aren't due to the Saints. They got robbed by the NFL badly.
Yeah.
They got robbed so bad the first time that the second time there was a pass interference that didn't get picked up. That was, iffy. Like people just kind of overlooked it. The first one was so bad that it was just like, people didn't have the energy left to react to the second one. Yeah.
You can make a case that little Vikings OPI.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the one that they got it done again, and like people were just like,
not again, man.
That's just the game, like
they'll get over it. They'll be back next year.
Yeah.
All right, so put a question on the screen. We can answer a few of these.
Oh, I got one right here. Oh.
You want me to start singing?
No, I do not.
Yeah, we will lose all the listeners. Oh, I'm definitely gonna let you answer this one. Alfonso says, Alphonse, man, your first name is the same as my middle name. I've never said that before. Here you guys go. So you got to be a cool dude, man. Is Marcus Williams the weak point of the defense? Go ahead.
No,
man.
I don't think so. I think Marcus Williams is currently. Look, I honestly believe this. If he keeps going the way he's going, I think that. Let's say he leaves. I think if he leaves and goes and plays somewhere else, that a narrative emerges at some point that he's the best safety in the NFL, and I think people will believe that. I think that his whole career is colored by the way it started. I think he's defined by one moment. I think that's magnified his level of missed tackles, and obviously they were an issue. But if you look at comparatively speaking to players like Harrison Smith, who fans really wanted on this team, and other players, they miss like 5 or 6 tackles a season, just like Marcus Williams misses 5 or 6 tackles a season. And I think he's playing probably the best football he's played. He's tackling much better. He looks like a borderline enforcer on some plays when he's coming down into the box, which is crazy to me.
This game he was at it. Yeah, this game he was.
Look, I don't know if he's the best. Like, I'm not saying he's the best safety in the NFL, but I think he would go somewhere else and he would be covered in such a positive manner because there wouldn't be these seeds of doubt that we all have, myself included. There was a play in this last game where I thought the play was going to end up. They had a pass going up the left sideline. I can't remember the specifics. But somebody came and cleaned up the tackle, and I was looking at it, and I was like, oh my God, this game's going to come down to Marcus Williams making an open field tackle. And because of everything that's happened, you look at it away, and I'm putting myself in there with everybody else. I'm looking at it the same way as everybody else because there's just these things that we've seen watching this team that make you view him that way. But through fresh eyes, he does so many things so well that, like, if he went to, every player that goes to New England that's good, like, ends up being elevated to this point where people say that he's the best in the league. Like, I think if he went to a situation where there's a lot of coverage, like in a bigger market, he would play so well that people would start making that argument for him. Whether it's true or not is something else. But no, he is not the weak point of the D.
Yeah, I'll just put a little aside to that. I think I'm kind of hesitant to say it because it feels a little shallow, but I think his success, and I think maybe this is the case for a lot of free safety. It just depends on the guys that are going to be around him. Your job as a free safety is just a lot easier when you can kind of focus more on reading the defense instead of like maybe having to, play, especially when like you're a single high safety, like he is, or even when they're playing 2-man, right? But it seems like he goes as the defense goes. And for years, I feel like it's been like that. Like when, he's playing well is when the defense is hitting his stride. And, when the defense is maybe struggling, then maybe that position lends itself to that. But, I think that's something that's kind of an observation that I've made from. But I won't get too deep into that. I think you spoke on it enough. Next question by December's favorite person, Mr. Grinch. How do you think possibly losing Terry Fontenot, I'm assuming he's saying, to the Falcons or any other team will affect the team's future?
They do a good job of scouting. I think it would have an effect. I think Terry does a really good job of identifying players. They've really done a good job of finding mid-level free agents to fill out the roster. Terry Fontenot is in charge of the pro personnel. So when they bring in some of those guys, that's him and his department finding those players. And I think that's kind of been the big turnaround, post Ryan Pace, really. And Ryan Pace did a decent job too, but I think Terry's done an even better job of identifying, those players. And then even just guys on, the fill out special teams and all that stuff. I think that's been instrumental to the turnaround from those teams, 2014, 15, 16, AJ Klein, DeMario Davis. They've just done a really good job of signing free agents. I can't remember the last big time bust, and some of those misses aren't due to their choice, but the moves that they have made have worked out. And but the thing is look, they want him. They want him to leave. They want him to go on and have a better career. They want him to become a general manager. They elevated him to assistant GM for a reason. Look, part of that is the block so that somebody can't come in and hire him as an assistant GM. They got to hire him as a GM. So you aren't losing him to, like a mid-lateral move up. So if someone wants him, they got to take him all the way. But I think that they would be thrilled to see Terry. If he goes to Atlanta, they just want him to be worse than they are. But I think they would be thrilled to see this guy who's came up through their system, move on and continue to build his career. I don't think that there's selfishness or anything like that. I think obviously you would rather not have someone succeed in your division, but there's only 32 of these jobs, and
go to Detroit though, Terry. Don't go to Atlanta. Hey, I want to say, hey Kenny, man, don't be thinking about the subscription, man. Just do it. I saw you coming and chatting. Just want to give you a little boost, man. Go ahead and move forward with it. I promise you, you won't regret it. You'll be happy. So,
do it.
All right, another question. I think we got time for maybe a couple more.
I can't find it. Deuce asked one. He said, I remember the word. Oh, here it is. He said, what's more important, quicker post-snap processing or ability on the scramble drill, upper mechanics? For me, the biggest issue with him is I think to unleash the full scale. Well, first of all, fixing the fumbles is the biggest issue. But I think for me, I think the post-snap stuff, even if it doesn't come all the way, I think that he's good enough to get by if he gets marginally better. For me, for him to be like totally unleashed and become the full Taysom experience, like he needs to be able to throw on the move like that. I think that's the thing that needs to happen for him. For me, for him to become, that player. And I think there's a reason that every time they play a quarterback that can extend plays, make throws on the run, that Peyton, he gushes and he loves that. And he talks about how that's kind of like modern football and the stuff you need to do. And, I think for Taysom to become the full tier threat for his legs, because I think his legs are closer to being a full tier threat than anything else. I think that has to be part of the puzzle. So for me, that would be it.
Yeah. And
Sean can help him with the processing. He can hide some of that. Like the other thing is on him.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think to make it an interesting question, I think what's more likely, I think it's more likely that the scramble stuff gets fixed, because it seems like it just be something that's natural. I don't know why I assume that it would be natural to a guy with his skill set, but it's not. So if I had to bet on one of the two, I would probably bet on the scramble drill.
I got a theory.
Go ahead.
And if like the locker room was open, this is a story I would try to pursue with them, but I'm not going to do it like on the Zoom stuff. I have a theory that I think that maybe the work to fix his mechanics, like he's thinking, maybe he's thinking about throwing instead of just naturally. So then when he's on the move and stuff's not all in sync, because if you look at the way he throws now compared to BYU, it's a lot different. Like it's a lot cleaner.
Yeah.
And I think maybe when everything gets moving, that hasn't quite become as natural
So maybe he's just a bit robotic right now. And
that's my thought. It's just it's a hypothesis. I'm not saying this is like a fact or anything. That's just when I look at him, I'm like this just doesn't like it should flow a little bit better when you're on the move, and it's not. And I think that for me, that's my guess.
Well, you know what? I think I will say that the fact that he has mechanics when he's in the pocket, I feel like that's the foundation, right? Now, if you got broken mechanics inside the pocket, outside the pocket, you're just, I would say the hope is there's not much hope there. But the fact that when he's in the pocket, I think he's a fairly decent thrower of the football. Like I said, I think his accuracy has been good. He's put the ball, his ball location is fine. He's just got to work on some of the more mental parts of the quarterback position, which every quarterback needs to, right, for the most part. But yeah, I think having that foundation there maybe gives you some hope that he can maybe get on the run and get some of that stuff addressed.
That's all I got.
All right, guys. Well, man, look, we went an hour and 5 minutes, close to that tonight. So it was fun, man. It seems like this time flew by. We definitely want to thank everybody for stopping by. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you for the people that man, I just saw someone I think I saw someone in chat said they was going to sub. So thanks for that, man. Just tell someone about what we're doing over here. We're just having fun with it. Make sure you guys are going to YouTube, liking and subscribing. That always helps if you want to take it to the next level. Click the notification bell, because when we post a new video or anything along those lines, you'll get notified, which is always fun. Make sure you guys are going to NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. There's a bunch of different options there. Pick a tier that works for you. It's December. It's the month of giving. As Nick said, give yourself a subscription or give one to someone else. Whatever needs to happen, man. Anyway, any form of support, we'll appreciate it. Make sure you guys stay safe. The Saints play the Eagles this weekend in Philly. So with that said, thank you guys for listening. We will see you next week. We out.